So I'd like to call the September 10th, 2013 Town Board meeting to order at 7:06. If we can stand for pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ronnie, can you do me a favor and take a roll call?
Take a roll call. I'm just the recording secretary.
Your
So you
secretary?
would probably have to take the roll call.
Who?
You would probably have to, but I'm just taking minutes.
Okay. Supervisor Joyce, present. Councilmember Myers,
Present.
Councilman Drzezinski,
Here.
Councilman Esposito,
Present.
and Councilman Edwards. Please note Councilman Edwards is absent. So we opened this up as a public hearing for the comprehensive plan. I'll read the first paragraph, but after the comprehensive plan revision committee held its public hearing, the committee recommended a few language changes. At the prior public hearing, the town board received verbal and written comments from town residents. The board has now received written comments from the New York State Department of Agricultural Markets. Recently, members of the town board attended a meeting of the town planning board where a public hearing on the application of a food business warehouse distribution center was held. Residents of Rotterdam and Princetown spoke in opposition to the project, as did the superintendent of Chalmont School District. Most of the comments were addressing the traffic issues on Route 7, Becker Road, and Thruway Ramp intersection, largely regarding the impact on the current pilot school and commuter traffic that will be caused by a substantial increase of truck traffic as a result of the proposed project. This is a critical entryway to our town, and the board must ensure that our comp plan adequately addresses the need for the responsible development in this area of the town. Development that ensure the safety and livability of our community. In summing up, I believe the consensus of the board is that we will take into consideration the suggestions of the comp plan committee, the planning board committee, town residents, and others in seeking some modifications to the comp plan, particularly with respect to the development on the eastern area of the town in proximity to this critical intersection, and ask any town residents that wish to comment specifically about this issue. So again, I want to thank the planning board and all the past comprehensive plan committees. Again, what's critical to the town board is that this comprehensive plan is, as we said from the beginning, is as we take as much input from everybody in town as possible when we go to the final version. So as we indicated in the beginning, it took us 7 or 8 months, Joe, to put together the committee, and then the 7 or 8 or a year afterwards that the committee worked on this. But again, we want to include and make sure we hear everybody's concerns or comments or support of the plane service or the truck terminal. I guess it's not the food. What's it called? Food distribution center. So again, as a result of that, this is one of the items why we're asking and reopening the public hearing regarding the comp plan. So with that, I will open up the floor for public comment regarding the comprehensive plan, and as we said, the impact from the plane fuel distribution warehouse.
Good evening. My name is Andy Brick. I'm with the law firm Donald's EPC. We represent BTL Properties, who are the applicant for a renewal of the food distribution special use permit. I'm here primarily to address the board regarding the proposal to send a letter, which is a proposed resolution later on. But in light of the comment that was just read into the record regarding the comprehensive plan, I would have to point out that there is a somewhat large mistake in that comment. It states that our project will cause a substantial increase in truck traffic as a result of the proposed project. That's entirely untrue. What I would suggest the board do is consult with your own town engineer, who has reviewed our traffic study. We've updated our traffic study since the study that was done in 2008, and we've demonstrated that we will have a negligible traffic impact. And that's being reviewed by your town attorney, and rather than put that statement out there, I would ask you to consult with your town engineer regarding what the actual traffic impacts will be from the project, because there's been a lot of misinformation provided to a lot of people. Our traffic study shows, and again, it's being reviewed by your town engineer, and I believe you will confirm, that the McLean's Food Distribution Center will have a negligible impact upon traffic. What's occurring, unfortunately, to our project is the existing problems with pilot are causing problems for everybody, and then there's a fear that our project will somehow make the existing problems with pilot worse. We're not going to add to the problems. The problems that exist are as a result of the existing truck center. According to our traffic engineer, and people laugh when I say this, but according to DOT, as per our traffic engineer, the traffic in the area along Route 7 has actually reduced since 2006. And every time I say that at a meeting, people laugh because it seems unbelievable. It seems that the problems in that particular area are derived from the scheduling of the truck center, the lack of room at the truck center, and the pilot truck center, not our project. And I would urge you and the Comprehensive Plan Committee, no problem reviewing the comprehensive plan as how McLean's would relate to it, but I would strongly urge you to consult with the Comprehensive Plan Committee as well, with your town engineer, to get his position on our impact on traffic, because we've demonstrated it's going to be negligible. And thank you for the opportunity to address you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Dave Geisinger. I speak as a resident of the town of Princetown and as a member of the Princetown Environmental Advisory Committee and as a member of the recent Princetown Comprehensive Plan Revision Committee. The items I speak of are my own volition. And I would like to address two issues tonight, both dealing with Route 7. The first issue is having to do with the comprehensive plan, section 13.01, community character, item 7, A7, on page 52 reads, consider adjusting the commercial districts throughout the town to specify nodes of alternative or alternate zoning to prevent strip development. In these nodes, land should be low-density residential districts or maybe a conservation, environmental conservation area. This is especially important because the current C1 district runs from the border with Rotterdam to the border with Dwaynesburg, and I think there's a portion of it along Route 7 that's also Zone C2, commercial Zone C2. Part of my input here comes from my being on a town committee 6-7 years ago that involved some other members in this room that had to do with providing to the town board a document called the Princetown Route 7 Corridor Economic Development. recommendations. And we state in that report that where Route 7 crosses the Norman Scale, that this stream and its associated valley were scenic gems worth preserving in its natural state and represents one of the very few unblemished areas scenes along Route 7 going west from Rotterdam through Princetown through Duanesburg. We recommend changing the zoning from C1 to a residential zoning for that area of Route 7 from west of Kelly Station Road to a point near the Duanesburg Princetown town boundary. And I would further suggest that we strengthen this item 8.7 in section 13.01 of the comprehensive plan to say the land should be placed in a critical environmental area zoning. I mentioned this zoning category because of the open space protection reason, plus the fact that this specific area of Route 7 is also within the Princetown W2 Water Supply Overlay District. It's a very critical area for the water supply for the town to protect this area. And the Norman Scale is also the water supply for the city of Watervliet and town of Guilderland. So there's three reasons, I think, for suggesting this zoning change from C1 to some other zoning for that area of Route 7 where the Norman Scale crosses. One, it's a scenic gem. Two, I've spoken to the landowner who does the farming in that area, Mr. Dominic Di Coco, and he is very desirous that the land remain in agricultural pursuit, which remaining in agricultural use would protect the water supply. And third, I just think that we shouldn't have C1 zoning from end to end of the town on that Route 7, or else Route 7 will end up looking like when you drive from Schenectady, New York to Saratoga Springs along Route 50. You drive, and it's all commercial development almost all the way to Saratoga Springs, except for on the right-hand side there's a dairy farm. I don't know if it's an active dairy farm or an inactive dairy farm on the right. And I think all of you in the audience know that dairy farm up there about 3 or 4 miles beyond Burnt Hills. That's about the only unblighted area along Route 50 between Schenectady and Saratoga Springs that isn't already kind of converted to commercial development. So let's try to keep the town of Princetown, Route 7 corridor, looking a little bit unblemished in the same pursuit. Okay. The second thing I'd like to talk to you about tonight, also having to do with Route 7 corridor, has to do with this proposed food warehouse and distribution center and on Becker Drive in the towns of Rotterdam and Princetown. Now this, just a few background things about this. The warehouse is about a quarter of a million square feet, or about 5 acres in size, with 54 trucking docks. Maintenance building also of 13,000 square feet will be in the town of Princetown. So they're proposing a 24/7 operation, 45 trucks per day inbound and outbound, traffic from up to 190 employees entering and exiting. They plan to close off the western end of Becker Drive so that all warehouse traffic would be directed past the pilot truck stop and have to make a left-hand turn across Route 7 into Becker Drive to access the project. So potential for significant impacts on already problematic traffic in the area due to poor planning and traffic handling at the pilot truck stop. There are proposals in the town of Rotterdam to develop property immediately across the street from Pilot as a convenience store / gas station, thereby increasing traffic even more. With the known problems that already exist in this area, adding more trucks and more car traffic, especially during the peak AM and PM traffic periods, will likely create even more congestion and the potential for serious accidents. Anhydrous ammonia will be used as a refrigerant at this facility. It is toxic, highly dangerous compound if leaked or spilled. There is a very sensitive receptor within a half mile downwind of this facility, the Shawmount School. In event of a spill, it would be extremely difficult to rapidly evacuate and protect the approximately 2,500 students and employees there. The draft comprehensive plan does not adequately address a project of this scope. There may be a need for the town board to add language to the plan in order to protect Princetown's character at the entrance to the town along Route 7 and consider rezoning the land in this area to avoid projects of this size and intensity. The survey conducted by the Comprehensive Plan Committee showed that residents preferred businesses in the commercial zone that would be of benefit to residents such as small retail stores, restaurants, banks, insurance agencies, and other service establishments. Large big box or intensive industrial type land uses had much less support. The draft comp plan has already noted on page 21 that more intensive uses such as truck terminals and large-scale warehousing may be incompatible with many of the residential uses that still exist to a large extent in the town's commercial zone. Additionally, the committee recommended the area in the vicinity of the town hall be rezoned as a hamlet/town center zone that would strengthen the town's identity and quality of life. Such an area would consist of mixed uses and would act as a welcoming gateway area for the town. The type of project here would negatively impact any attempts for the town to establish such an area for Princetown. The town board should consider adding additional language to the comp plan that recommends a review of the town's commercial zones and the types of uses allowed. A warehousing project such as this has the potential to adversely affect the quality of life for Princetown residents for many years to come, so steps should be taken to ensure that proper decisions are being made now in the interest of keeping our town rural and a quality place to live in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Dr. Carol Pallas, and I'm the superintendent of schools for the Shelmont Central School District. I'm also a Princetown resident, and I reside at 3249 Kifford's Church Road. I attended last month's town planning board meeting to express my views related to the potential construction of a new distribution center proposed for the site west of Tues Road, across from the pilot station on Route 7. Since that meeting, I have continued to stay informed on documentation and information pertaining to this project. This includes a review of the ABD engineer's information provided to the planning board by the builder, showing revisions to the site plan, a plan for stormwater pollution prevention, and an updated traffic report. I've also reviewed the Town of Princetown Comprehensive Plan, which is a guide for land use decisions, community growth, and development. While I continue to appreciate that economic growth can be critical to any community, I am uncertain of the use that the land is proposed for the distribution center in this location is the right plan for the property, particularly after reading the town's comprehensive plan, section 13.1, where the goal is to preserve the rural character of Princetown. At the planning board meeting, I focused on a couple areas that in my role as superintendent of schools compel me to continue to address. Those areas pertain to safety concerns associated with increased traffic and the potential for an ammonia leak from the stored anhydrous ammonia on site. While again, I understand there may be limited chances a leak could occur, I am still concerned that one cannot guarantee that this will not happen. As mentioned in my previous address, a research study from engineer Mr. Malazinski raises the level of concern for our district because it highlights concerns for locations downwind of a facility that has a leak or a spill. The ammonia vapor can incapacitate or incur serious irreversible health effects on people who inhale the vapor nearby. The study also points out the need for the school district to have a very clear plan related to the potential of a large spill, as the size of a spill often cannot be determined until after the event has occurred. The document cites several accidents that have occurred around the country at sites where ammonia leaks generated hazardous conditions for nearby residents. While there may never be a spill or a leak, there is potential that there could be. And because of that, in my role, I am uncomfortable having that potential risk to our students and staff so nearby. Even though the risk may be minimal, it is still possible. And so I'm unsure why we'd want to invite that potential risk near our schools. Another concern I have relates to the traffic pattern on Route 7. proposal calls for the addition of a left turning lane to the proposed facility. This area is already congested at different times during the day, and it is difficult to envision how adding a left turning lane will alleviate the truck backup. This elevates my concern for buses passing in a safe and timely manner, along with car traffic related to school events and students who walk from the school to their homes in this area. I am not opposed to new construction or growth in our community. In fact, quite the opposite. I am supportive of growth. However, the type of facility being recommended at this time may not be the right one for the location in question. Despite the reports, I still have great concerns, mostly about a potential chemical leak or spill and the traffic safety for our students, staff, and broader community of Shellmount. The Princetown Comprehensive Plan states that local elected officials understand it is their responsibility to enact regulations and implement land use programs that can have far-reaching, long-term, and precedent-setting implications. To that end, the town must ensure that the policies, programs, and plans ultimately benefit the whole community and provide a reasoned framework for future growth. While I'm sure this is a difficult decision to make, weighing all factors, I trust that you will be reminded of the purpose and the goals of the town plan and of the input of the community at this time. Again, thank you for allowing community members to have the opportunity to speak out and share our thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you share that document?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Did you have a hard copy of your comments?
No, they were straight off the cuff.
Me too. Which I swap. Additional comments?
Like to say so?
Sure.
Good evening, Bobby Avanella. I live on 265 Gordon Road, Rotterdam. I am the applicant for the McLean Food Service. We asked the board before to give us a recommendation to welcome McLean's, and I believe that the board has my much respect on any decision that they might have on this project. I appreciate the comments by the superintendent of schools. However, we had a special use permit from Princetown in 2007 that addressed all of the issues: ammonia, wetlands. I can go on and on. It's a full-blown environmental impact statement. The ammonia is the same that it was in 2007. It hasn't changed. The traffic is going to increase, but we believe we mitigated that by contemplating adding a left turn lane. I believe I gave the board last month a drawing of how that would work, plus both traffic reports. The original traffic report in June and a supplemental traffic report. McLean's is a Class A company. They have two different divisions. In Baldwinsville, they have a grocery division, which has nothing to do with McLean Food Service. McLean Food Service is a different operation. Trucks from Baldwinsville will not go to the McLean's in Rotterdam, and Rotterdam's trucks from the food service will not go to Baldwinsville. It's a totally different operation. As far as the Malazinski report, he had the same issues back in 2007, and the planning board passed the negative declaration for the full-blown environmental impact statement. The only thing different now is traffic. The ammonia is no different than it was in 2007. All my children went to Shawmut. All my partner, Tim Leonard's kids, went to Shawmut. His kids are still going to Shawmut. I'm not going to jeopardize their health with some ammonia spill. I have the hazmat team in Schenectady County on board to do this. They have 8,000 pounds of ammonia. That's what they had, dispersed through the refrigeration center. What about the New York State Thruway that have tanker trucks going by Shawmut? What about the CP Railroad? What if one of those ruptures? Do we stop growth? Do we stop the process? I think this board is intelligent enough to understand that I do truly respect everybody here. And I think we mitigated all the efforts. And my attorney just said that if you folks could consult with McDonald Engineering, who agreed in 2007 about this project, on every issue. And the truck traffic thing is probably the biggest issue out of all of them. And I think we have addressed it. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
So I did receive a letter from a Rotterdam resident that she asked that I read it out loud. So I guess I'll take her spot. This is from Kerry Frank. My name is Kerry Frank, and I'm a resident of El Dorado Acres and live at 249 Autumn Run. More importantly is that I'm a parent of 3 Shawmut students, 2 graduates, 1 currently about to start his junior year. My husband and I have lived here for 22 years. I would like to address my overwhelming concern for the proposed food distribution warehouse. Although I have several concerns of hazardous chemicals and environmental concerns, I would like to focus my primary concern on the safety of our Shawmut children. Anyone who's ever had to pass through the intersection of Route 7 and New York State Thruway, Becker Street crossing is fully aware of what I'm talking about. This intersection and the surrounding roadways have a long history of high incidence of traffic accidents. It is my understanding, it is extremely troubling to me that traffic studies done in this area were done at a time when our Shawmut schools were not in session. This is a notorious intersection as viewed from the number of accidents that occurred there in a short period of time, as well as my own near misses in getting through safely. This is tough for even any experienced driver to get through. We have now put our children in a position where they will have to go up against very experienced and often very aggressive truck drivers. Our students are obviously new drivers with little experience. I personally witnessed a Shawmut student's car being pulled from under an 18-wheeler. Just last year, I had a group of boys on their way to my home, almost killed at this intersection. Unfortunately, I am also aware that many other accidents on this road and at this intersection involving our students. I have drilled into my children and their friends the grave importance of extreme caution needed at this intersection, as I am sure other parents have as well. My youngest is 16 years old and actually going for his road test tomorrow. My stomach turns knowing he may have to go through this intersection several times a day. Rotterdam has become the trucking capital of New York State. When going to and from our school, our children are up against the trucks from Price Chopper, Pilot Truck Stop, buses, and now you are considering even more. Our school district is geographically unique and it encompasses 70 square miles. Many of our children and buses have to pass through this intersection several times a day to get to the outlying areas where they live. Our bus drivers are wonderful and skilled, and yet it is still difficult for them to maneuver through this intersection. Now consider having your child, a new inexperienced driver, having to have to do this. When the Pilot Truck Stop was approved, it was stated that no more than 18 trucks were to be allowed to stay each night. We all know that is not the case. We have also had to fight very hard to get signs put up and officials to follow up with imposing rules to stop the many truck drivers from parking their trucks along Route 7 and side streets. These trucks block the visibility of drivers and further increase the danger at this intersection. I am not opposed to the trucking industry at all, but believe appropriate consideration of the amount and proximity to the school received very little attention. It is also my understanding that the proposed McLean fuel distribution project does not provide any information on the amount of on-site ammonia for the 2,000 square foot facility. To date, there has been no engineering evaluation as to the possible impacts to the residents in close proximity and the Chalmont schools on Williamsburg Road. There is no way to assess if an accident would occur. However, given the location of this hazard chemical, the Chalmont middle and high schools are in danger and should even a very nominal leak occur, which could create a very large hazard very quickly. I am told that the science indicates that an accidental release of ammonia coincident with a mild breeze affords a minimal response time to react and is highly unlikely that a price chopper, hazmat team, and/or fire department response could occur in less than 5 minutes. My husband and I have been active parents in the Chalmont community and have worked with our school administrators who constantly work to provide a safer, healthier, and positive environment for our students to grow and be successful. I feel very strongly this is also the responsibility of our town board and neighboring towns. I would like to end by commending the Princetown Board and Planning Committee for acting in the best interest of the Chalmont school students in the past with respect to requested adult strip clubs as well as additional truck stops being considered in the area. I'm also grateful that the Princetown Planning Committee is holding this public hearing tonight and doing a more thorough job in addressing the concerns of the community, unlike the Rotterdam Town Supervisor, Town Board, and Planning Committee, who are supportive of the proposed plan and apparently not as concerned for the children who attend the middle school and high school that reside within the jurisdiction. Our school district has been here for over 50 years. We can't relocate the schools. It is my opinion that responsible planning would have to include, if not prioritize, the safety of the nearly 2,000 Chalmont children who have no choice to attend school in the existing buildings that would be close to this potential hazardous chemical leak, as well as having to travel on these treacherous roads. Again, that is from Kerry Frank and her husband at Eldorado Acres at 249 Autumn Run. Additional comments from the floor? All right. So I'm going to recommend, if there's no additional comments now to the board, that we keep this hearing open till to the October meeting. For additional concerns, I think we'll use more written comments. Give everybody some time to read the comments and to get some feedback. If that's okay with the board.
I think also that there's so much fact coming at us from so many different directions. I think we need some time for this board to evaluate. Mike Rivas, could you advise us on steps required to put a moratorium in, just to give us some time to evaluate all the traffic studies and all of the information we need?
Well, that's certainly a possibility for the town board to consider that. If generally you look at a limited period of time, here you have a comp plan that's in, stages of being developed and approved, and then we've heard from some members of the public about possible revisions, not only to the comp plan, but perhaps to those parts of the comp plan that deal with the zoning of this particular area. So that may be something that the board would be considering, and if it is, it probably would be appropriate to, discuss that more fully at the agenda meeting, work session.
The 1 2 weeks from now.
Right, so it would, the combination of circumstances would be one that could lend itself to some sort of moratorium on large-scale development projects in this area if the town board is, convinced that a zoning change, would be recommended for that area. So I think before you take that step, you would want to, have this as a, full item for full discussion at the work session.
How long of a moratorium would it be?
Well, generally, you try to limit that to what's necessary to go through your process of looking at the comp plan and its recommendations and any potential zoning law change. So if it's going to take you a few months to get through that process, it may be just for a few months.
But we can discuss that in
Right.
So I actually stand correctly, so it's next town board meeting is October 8th, not the 24th. Well, it's the agenda meeting, but keep the public hearing open to the October 8th, so everybody can update their agenda to October 8th instead of start out July 30th, but obviously that missed. So at this point, we will keep the public hearing on the comprehensive plan open until October 8th for additional comment or written comments. All right. Any additional thoughts at this time? All right, so as long as we leave that, again, the public hearing open, I am going to close that section of the meeting. I'm going to open up the privileges of the floor. But let me, as we do every week, let me read the our guidelines. At every regularly scheduled town board meeting, the public shall have the right to address the town board during the portion of the meeting to be referred to as privileges of the floor, which will take place after reports of the town departments and supervisor. Members of the public wishing to speak during privileges of the floor may sign a sheet before the commencement of the town board meeting indicating his or her name, address, and proposed topic. The sign-in sheet will dictate the order in which persons are recognized to speak, and will ensure the town clerk has the correct spelling of their names and addresses for the minutes. Members of the public are to restrict their comments to items of town business and are to observe proper decorum when addressing the town board. Persons who become unruly, use inappropriate language, or persist in speaking on items not related to the town business may be ruled out of order. Although there is no official time constraint and speakers may address one or more items in their comments, they should be considerate of others and try to limit the remarks to no more than 5 minutes so that all interested members of the public will have the opportunity to be heard. And with that, I will open up the floor for privileges of the floor.
I didn't sign the sheet, but Mary Ann Jones, Town of Princetown. My concern is you're here for the people of the town of Princetown, okay? And I know this is the town of Duanesburg that's doing this, but something's got to be done about that Camp Bisco that they have up there. It's not only, it plugs our road because they come off of I-88. We don't get no sleep for 4 nights because we're not supposed to come in for 3 nights, but they come in at 4 nights. And right where I live, the music is just terrible. And they're getting away with breaking the law because they're only supposed to have 10,000 people. There's 20,000 or more in there. Maybe more than that. But what they're doing is they're camping them at Maple Ski Ridge, busing them up, so at one time there may be just so many in there. But there's more than that in there at all time, and Duanesburg is getting away with it, but it's disrupting me. The water trucks go by my house, they used to jake brake all night long, they're going back and forth, and then I got the traffic, and then I got those, oh, I can't say it, because you told us we couldn't. I was going to say those dirty, smelly headies. And then I got another.
Show me your age now.
power line put in across the way from me. Okay, that doesn't bother me, I don't care. Okay, because electricity is electricity. But I also heard there's a transfer station going up too. Now, are they gonna tell you where they're gonna put that transfer station? Because I don't wanna listen to that thing pump all the time.
So, I'm gonna talk about it,
Okay.
be patient. This one comments?
Norm Miller, Skyline Drive. For today's conservative primary election, Town Councilman Todd Edwards mailed a letter to conservatives that claimed to present some facts about the town. These so-called facts are vague, deliberately misleading innuendos intended to alarm residents into voting against the candidates Mr. Edwards opposes. The claims in Mr. Edwards' letter are pure fabrication. This is the lowest form of political attack. Let's look at the real facts. The truth of the matter is that no town tax has been approved, no town tax has ever been spoken of. So what is the single largest reoccurring expense in the history of our town that Mr. Edwards refers to? Since this is something fabricated by Mr. Edwards and his cronies, he hasn't put a name to it. The actual facts are that if the Joyce administration had not been elected, there could very well have been a town tax. In the 3 years prior to 2012, during which Mr. Edwards was on the board, the town habitually overspent its budget with expenses exceeding revenues. In 2012, after Mike Joyce and his team were elected, revenues exceeded expenses by about $55,000. A very different picture than what occurred under the previous administration. In his letter, Mr. Edward points out that a gender discrimination complaint was filed against the town board. He should know about that since it was his mother-in-law, town clerk Carol McLean, who filed the complaint over the fact that the town board had reduced her budget for funding the deputy town clerk position. The primary deputy town clerk is Miss McLean's own daughter and Mr. Edwards' wife. While studying the budget over the past several years, Mike Joyce and his team discovered that since Ms. McLean took office, the deputy town clerk's budget had increased 88% over a 6-year period. Mr. Edwards was correct about people serving themselves on the town's dime, but it's his own family that's guilty of that, not Mike Joyce or any of his team. In fact, one town board member, Councilman Jasinski, has given most of his salary back to the town. Shortly after Carol McLean was elected as town clerk, she reduced her office hours by 3 hours per week, yet continued to get the same salary as the previous town clerk. Oddly, the budget for her daughter continued to increase until it reached an all-time high of $16,000. In 2006, when the previous town clerk was in office, she worked most of the time by herself, and her deputy only earned $2,839 with a budget of only $5,000. You might have assumed that with an 88% over 6 years, the workload must have increased. A study of the town clerk's reports to the state controller show that the workload remained just about level. In some case, it was reduced. And remember, the town clerk reduced her office hours each week. So how can a fiscally responsible town board allow this? The board voted 4-1 to reduce the deputy town clerk's budget from $16,000 to about $8,600 in 2013, despite Mr. Edwards' disgraceful argument against lowering his wife's salary. The town clerk then filed a sex discrimination complaint, trying to make it seem like the all-male town board made this decision because she is female. I understand the complaint was withdrawn at the hearing. Mr. Edward claims the town's legal costs are escalating out of control. He is somewhat right in that respect. The legal costs the town has had to bear to fight the frivolous charges filed with the town clerk, the town judge, and the court clerk this summer are now up to about $9,000. Now, I might add, so far, none of their charges were found to be legitimate. Mr. Joyce and his team ran on a platform to bring open government and fiscal responsibility to Princetown. He has done this. Residents in most of the water districts will be seeing a reduction in their water fees due to the bond interest rates being reduced. This was done despite constant criticism from some of the bullies who have controlled the town for years. Solar power was installed to reduce our cost of electricity. The town has contracted to have an E-code system which will organize and update all town laws and ordinances. Oddly, this is the duty of the town clerk, but has not been done in years. I found it amusing when I was researching some of this information. The first minutes written by our current town clerk were for the town's organizational meeting on January 1st, 2008. In that meeting, and I will quote from the minutes, A.M. Gray asked former town clerk C. Hasbrook about the deputy clerk line of $10,000 and the training of deputy town clerks. Discussion took place. A.M. Gray felt that Ronnie Edwards is more qualified for the town clerk position than C. McLean. End of quote. Did A.M. Gray know something the rest of us didn't know? The following fall, when Doug Gray ran for town board, someone mailed an anonymous letter to residents that was not very flattering to Doug Gray. The rest of Todd Edwards' letter does not even warrant a response. It is all just a bunch of lies. With this type of approach, seems to be the style of Mr. Edwards and his cronies. They have no platform to make Princetown safer or more fiscally responsible or more progressive. Just lies with messages of hate. I would suggest that every resident check their website, topny.org, and see for themselves the type of information they put up. I will repeat their website, topny.org. I assume they are attempting to make residents think their website is the official town website and even had the town's emblem on it. Check the real town website, princetown.net. I would suggest that you look at videos of previous meetings and then check the minutes. You might wonder if the town clerk was at the same meeting. Mr. Edward talks about supporting public service. What public service is he providing? And talked about self-serving? Mr. Edwards hasn't even showed up at a board meeting since April, but continues to collect his more than $5,000 a year salary.
And I'm still a better value to the town than any of these jabronis. Is it still public, open to the public?
There it is.
All right. Good evening. My name is Todd Edwards. I am 2583 Pangburn Road and 214 Willow Run. And I'm a sitting town councilman here in the town of Princetown. A little over 10 years ago, I wanted to learn about what small town government was all about and took an opportunity and gained an appointment on our town's planning board to do just that. And over the 7+ years I was on that planning board, kind of got to know what community service was about in a small municipal environment. Over that time frame, I was asked numerous times to run for the town board, and I turned it down multiple times because my professional schedule really wouldn't permit me to do so. And a little over 4 years ago, in an effort to try to show my children the importance of serving the community and to keep up a family legacy that my wife's family has had for a long time, I agreed. I was solicited by Mr. Norm Miller to run for town office. At the time, Mr. Miller and I had some consistent views about the future of this town, and I thought Mr. Miller was an honest and objective and constructive town servant, which was what I was looking to be at that time. And the illustration that I was looking to provide to my children for how they should build their lives as young community servants here in the town of Princetown, since they're both the 6th generation of my wife's family here in this town. After getting elected, for reasons to this day unknown to me, Mr. Miller has turned against me and has proceeded to publicly attack me, politically attack me, spread lies about me, and from what I can see, is an extremely deceitful, dishonest, and destructive person. He has then solicited the 5 of you to join his path of, I don't even know what to call it. As I look back at why I joined the town board and wanted to be involved here in the town of Princetown, I mean, we're a small bedroom community. We don't have a fire department, a publicly funded fire department like some of the big cities do. We don't have a publicly funded police department. We don't have nearly the breadth and scope of services as some of the bigger cities do. So for the life of me, I can't understand why these hardcore politics have been brought into our town by all of you. And as I look back at, again, how I got started here, wanting to set an example for my children, and I look at how you all have behaved over these past almost 24 months, I don't even know what to say. I don't know how any of you can go home and look at your children, your spouses, or any of your family or your neighbors and not be ashamed. I mean, I'll take you, Mr. Cuevas, for example. I mean, did you, when you were a young child, say to yourself, I can't wait to grow up and use my education to harm other people? Is that what you said you wanted to do when you grew up? Do you feel good about what you're doing? Because that's what all of you are doing. You're disgusting human beings. You've disgraced yourselves, your families, and our town. And Mr. Miller can come up here and twist information and try to project that I'm lying or someone else is lying. The facts are there. And I don't care what anybody says. You can't save this town enough money or construct enough solar panels to justify the way the 5 of you have behaved over the past almost 25 months. And the fact that some of you are sitting there smiling about this is really sad. I pity you, and I feel sorry for our town. And I have to be honest with you, if the 5 of you are the measure of what a town councilman is here in the town of Princetown, then I don't want to be one. Thank you for your time.
Are you resigning, is that? All right.
Michelle Van Wert, the judge in the town of Princetown. Mr. Miller does twist the truth, obviously, with his indication of Mr. Joyce's saving the town $55,000 over the last 24 months or whatever is not true. Mr. Joyce has defunded a position for over $26,000. He has not funded another position of $7,500. There remains a $7,000 balance in the security line for the court. That amounts to almost $40,000 right there. So that's only with what he's misappropriated in the town of Princetown Court's budget. But that's not why I'm here to talk about what Mr. Miller, I don't want to waste my time with that. My problem is that the court has been removed with its security. Mr. Myers and I have had long discussions about the security issues with the court. Mr. Myers was on the town board at the time in 2007 when I went to the Schenectady County Legislature to ask for security because the court was in need of security. We now have no security. No security.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, that's not true.
Mr. Joyce, the PBA has said that you have created an unsafe risk by eliminating one court officer and
So
will
there is
not
security here.
submit one officer to a liability. And the fact remains that by you pulling one officer off of this court has now resulted in 2 officers go. We have no security. So if you choose to take any volatile person coming into the court and put that on your shoulders and on the shoulders of the rest of the 5 of you, then that's fine. I want to know what you're going to do with the balance of the money appropriated for security. I would like to also know that a security assessment was done in 2007, and it was put into place by then Supervisor Nick Mora, Junior. So my thoughts are, the court needs security. What have you done to keep security and keep it effectively operating in the town of Princetown Court?
There's no give and take here.
You've just been giving and taking.
You're
You've
not-
just
are you done?
answered me, so
Are you
why
done,
can't,
Michelle?
no, I'm not done.
Okay.
Why, you've already answered a question, you just answered me, but you won't expound on what you said, there is still security.
Councilman concerned, I'll respond.
Okay, and I would also like to mention that Dominic D'Agostino is the sheriff, not Harry Lafarge, by the way. And the agreement that was put into place did say for 1 security officer. However, the security officers that have been placed in the town of Princetown have been 2 from the start. And that's what has been paid for, that's what has been appropriated year after year. So if you choose to risk the people who come into the town of Princetown along with myself, my clerk, the assistant district attorney, the public defender, then I guess you open the town of Princetown for more legal problems. So I urge you to place the security back in the way it was. 2 officers here every Wednesday evening.
Yes, sir.
I'm just here to ask you to hold off on writing a letter. Following quite an interesting public comment, but I'm here to talk to you about the proposed resolution on the agenda to send a letter of concern to McLean Food Distributors. I recognize that a number of you attended the planning board meeting. What I would submit is that a letter from this board to anybody at this point is premature. As you know, for those of you that were at the planning board meeting, it was a public hearing where the public was able to comment. We, as the applicant, did not respond. So a lot of misinformation, misfacts, issues that have been resolved through our submittals with the engineers were raised at the podium. We didn't get up and correct every single one and say that's not true. So what you heard at the public comment portion of the planning board meeting were public concerns that 1, may be unfounded, and 2, may have already been addressed to the satisfaction of your town engineer. So I would submit that it would be premature for you to issue some type of letter of concern based upon those comments when we haven't had the opportunity to respond to those comments, so you have the clear facts in front of you. If at the end of this process you're going to pass a resolution to write a letter of concern, I'm not going to be able to stop you, but what I would urge you to do is hold off on doing it at this point as Councilman Jarzynski said earlier regarding the comp plan, that there are a number of questions that I believe the board needs answers to. And not just for the comp plan, but for this project as a whole. So I'm here tonight to request that you postpone consideration of issuing any type of letter at this point until you have the ability to speak with your experts. You can speak with us. We'll make our experts available to you. And speak to your planning board. Get the facts before you put it in writing, because once it's in writing, it's difficult to take back. And also, the resolution, and I'm not just sure if this is a draftsmanship error, but it's to send a letter of concern to McLean Food Distributors. I would submit that that would be the wrong entity to send anything to. My client is the property owner and the applicant. We're seeking to renew the special use permit on the Princetown side for what is right now a generic food distribution center. That's how it was approved in 2008. While we are actively seeking to attract McLean's attention, we at this time do not have a contract with McLean's. We do not have a letter of intent from McLean's. We don't have a legal relationship with McLean's, and McLean's has no role or authority over the review process. So sending a letter of concern to them is, you might as well send it to all food distributors, because should this be approved, we want McLean's, but they don't have any control over the process. Have we designed the project geared to marketing to them to come here? Absolutely, no question about that. But it's not their application, it's my client's, it's Bobby's. So if at the end of the process you do decide that you have enough facts, you consulted with your experts, and you do want to write some type of correspondence, I would submit that the appropriate entity would be to BTL Properties as the applicant, and we would be willing to address any concerns that you have at that juncture, or even this evening. By way of example, you mentioned in the comp plan portion about issues that were raised pertaining to water. There are some Rotterdam residents, I forget the name of the subdivision, but they have water pressure problems, and they're near our proposal, so they came in and expressed concerns. We already have water pressure problems, you'll make it worse. Our engineers have demonstrated to the satisfaction of your engineer that our project will not have any impact upon their existing water problems whatsoever. We're actually past them on the line, so we couldn't negatively impact their water pressure. They have an altitude problem on the houses in relation to the pressure and where the pipe is. But that's just one example where that issue has been addressed through the engineers. Now, we didn't get up and respond and tell everybody that, because it's public comment, and they have the right to comment, and we'll respond, appropriately. But you don't want to get out ahead of yourselves and issue a letter about concerns that have already been addressed in-house by you and by your staff already. So I'm just asking that you postpone action on that particular resolution to issue a letter at this time. And if at some point in the future you decide that you do want to issue some type of correspondence, I would submit that the appropriate entity would be to us, not McLean Foods themselves. And I thank you for this opportunity again. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sandra Fortune. I live on Darrow Road. I just have a comment. I just wanted to say that I wasn't able to attend the State of the Town meeting, and my husband and I just wanted to let you know that we are happy with the monies that the town has been saving us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pat Bishop, Vernon Drive. I'm the planning board chair, and I just had a couple issues I wanted to bring to the board's attention. Procedural concerns of the way things are being handled in the town. I know the town board passed a number of resolutions over the past probably 12 or 15 months dealing with FOIL requests, mail procedures, and minutes, distribution of minutes. The first area of the FOIL requests, it's a quite lengthy procedure. One of the main critical issues is that the attorney first review FOIL requests that come in, and before they're even sent to the people who are supposed to respond to them. And I want to let you know that I've been getting FOIL requests directly from the town clerk via email prior to any review by the Princetown attorney. And here's an excerpt from your resolution that says, upon review of the FOIL request by the Princetown attorney, he will deliver via email the determination, approval, or denial of the request, along with a copy of the FOIL request and any additional instructions deemed appropriate to satisfy the request, to the Princetown Records Management Officer, the chair of the Records Advisory Board, and all parties named in the request. So that is not being done. I've had to go to Mr. Cuevas myself and ask if he has reviewed the request, and in all cases he has not. And no one is seeing these requests. I know people have asked for logs and so forth, and they don't seem to be forthcoming. The other issue is the mail. I know you folks passed a mail policy that mail coming in is supposed to be time stamped and pretty much delivered immediately to addressees. And we hired a woman to handle the mail for most days, and she's been doing that. However, fairly important correspondence came in from Rotterdam recently about rezoning within 500 feet of the town, right near the McLean Food Service or the distribution center, which is a topic of concern right now. It was dated August 15th, and we didn't see it probably till very early in September. And it has a 30-day response period. It wasn't time or date stamped. The accompanying materials were not with it. So another issue.
You didn't do it to Mr. Miller. Don't do it to him.
You want to get out? You should be declared out of order.
Listen, I can leave on a dime.
Okay.
So could you?
Finally, the issue of minutes. The board passed a resolution that when board minutes are completed, they're to be given to the webmaster, who happens to be my husband, for immediate posting on the website. And I've noticed the last few minutes that have been sent around, I haven't seen too many come around, but he seems to be deliberately being left off the distribution list. And in fact, minutes are going directly to outside residents in addition to other employees here, but they're not going to the webmaster. So there seems to be deliberate avoidance to sending him the minutes, the person that needs to post them. So just want to bring these issues to your attention and hope that the board can resolve them. Thanks.
Any additional comments? Okay, we're going to close the privileges of the floor at 8:15. Open up for business. Highway, Nick was working tonight, so I will cover highway for him. All right, the work we approved on Overlook Lane is complete. Dave? Dave? Thank you. So the work on Overlook Lane is complete. Willow Run, there was 2 pieces of work there. It was where it exits on to Kelly Station. They did some culvert work, so that's complete, and then the rest of it, as far as removing the stone, has been completed. They're supposed to put down the remaining topsoil today, and then hydro seed, but not sure how far they got on that with the rain that occurred this morning. I do need to return a couple of calls to the Quackenbush team, or Quackenbush residents, so I'm going to try to set up a meeting with the Quackenbush residents for the 20th. I'm going to try to take a vacation day on the 20th, or actually, not that week, it'll be week of 23rd. So I know there's people down at the far end that have concerns, and then there's some residents in the middle that have some concerns. So I am gonna try to meet with Dan Marciniak, Joe Ryan, our representative from the county, and the residents, and Nick Moore, of course, and then with the residents of Quackenbush, and see if we can do some work down there. We apparently going to come under budget a little bit on the Willow Run, but I spoke again with Joe Ryan today at length. Willow Run is probably the next road we need to consider doing a repair on. So my thought, unless something else jumps up here during the remainder of the year, we take the money that was allocated, save it, and put it into next year's fund, and then look at resurfacing Willow Run. The Willow Run's somewhere between 1.7 and 2 miles long, so we'll have to see how it goes. And then, as I think everybody's seen, is North Kelly and Ryanix Corners have been resurfaced. For the residents of Reynolds Road, they're still trying to find funding. I think they're gonna not resurface it, but clean it up a bit. I don't know if they're gonna find enough funding this year to complete Reynolds Road, but he's still looking. Again, it was on schedule, but due to the storms we had in the springtime and the repair work that, was not being assisted by the state, it's gonna be tough to finish up Reynolds Road, but some thoughts, so. And then, although it's not related to highway, I do want to thank the Moores, both Nick and Junior, for finishing up the gazebo, so I'd like to maybe get a note out to them saying thanks. So that covers highway. I think, you guys have any questions on highway? General meeting, the water department.
Basically a nice quiet month. Nothing major happened, everything just usual maintenance. Not there, nothing to report on.
I know it's not necessarily your area of responsibility, but for the people who don't know, I was going to touch on it, but now that George is up there and he's probably a little more knowledgeable about it since it's affecting part of his property. The FEMA, NRCS, DEC work has started on a Normanskill. Again, the property, the pump house property is being funded by FEMA. The rest of it, as it goes, I guess, east on Route 7 there, is being funded by NRCS and DEC. So I know this kicked off here. I want to just give a feeling of how things are going.
Well, they're doing fairly decent, I think. They cleaned a lot of brush out. Larner was there today dumping a ton of, quite a few truckloads of gravel come in. They brought a lot of large stone and riprap in. They put down there on the east end there where Mike's well house is. And they had graded, they put the silt fence up and changed the channel a little bit because all the water all of a sudden decided to flow against where our work area wanted to be. So they moved it to the other side of the channel and got the silt fences up. But then it had to rain a lot today, so, government, they don't let them sit there in the creek and work a lot when it's raining out.
Yeah. For the residents, the ability to work in the creek is pretty restricted. It's restricted by the DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers. So when it rains and the creek rises, it's, pretty much the project has to go on hold until the water recedes down to, it's pretty dry, so you can get in the creek without disturbing the water. So.
I said they do have the silt fences up and everything, so anything where they are working, it's catching all that silt, so it's not running downstream as long as the water doesn't start running, 4 or 5 feet high there.
Yep. That's good. And like I said, we contacted the owners of the property and assured them that we'll try to keep out of his way as we try to him out of business, so he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, Mike was all pretty cooperative there that one morning, we were all there talking, and the guys were cooperating, he said, well, it takes me like 20 minutes to load the trailer, and I said, hey, that's fine, he says, you know, you need time to load your trailer, and we'll be out of your way. So,
Good deal. Anything else?
Meter running backwards now, George, over at the Rangeford Road?
Yeah.
Waynesburg Road and the Gifford Church Road, they both run backwards. They've gone down.
Yeah.
So,
We're talking about the solar.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah, they're basically, you know, they seem to be working fairly decent when it's running. And, you know, you do see the meter go backwards and production. And as we've talked about, we'll have to see what happens over the next year, comparing bills and everything else. And, you know, I think the less National Grid we use, the higher they're going to charge us for delivery, it looks like. We're looking, you know, 2 months of bills there, and the delivery charge are only $200 and some. Now all of a sudden we got nailed to $300 and some this last month. So, there was a ton of, you know, there was a couple 3,000 kilowatts went back into the National Grid system, but we fed back in excess. So that should help, you know, offset our bills anyway.
Thank you. All right, thanks, George.
Okay.
Code enforcement is not available. Didn't get a chance to talk to Dan. I know he's got some activity going on. We've been in contact with Mike, and so I know he's working some permits, and there's a couple of questions going on, but I'm not really prepared to speak to them tonight, so we'll table his conversation until next month. Justice, I'm assuming. Darla? Did I see Darla? I thought I saw her. There she is.
I really have nothing to report, which is beautiful. Nothing noteworthy. But I did want to remind everybody in town and whoever will actually get to see this on town or cable, that the Schenectady County Free Rabies Clinic will be held here at Princetown Town Hall, October 19th. 10 to 11 are cats and ferrets that must be in a cage. 11 to 12, dogs must be on a leash. If you have a current rabies certificate, bring it with you. The rabies clinic is free to county residents. Donations are appreciated, but that's pretty much it. Just want to let everybody know. And Joe, you gonna bring your camera this time?
What? I'm sorry, I was busy writing what you just said.
What is that?
Bring your camera.
Oh, yes,
Mm-hmm.
I will.
Will you upload the pictures before they disappear?
Before I delete them?
Yeah.
Yes, that, I will work very hard at
It
that.
was a lot of fun last year.
It was, and I got a couple of really nice shots. You
Yeah.
know, big dog, little dog.
Who can tell?
I'm sorry about that.
I found my letter, so I'll put it in the mail soon.
And what was that again?
I said, I found my letter that I owe you.
Did you include the extra $25?
I will.
Okay. All right. Everybody else caught up? You up to date?
What do you say?
Huh? Okay. That's really all.
The enumeration, I misplaced my letter. So I found it today. Pretty much right where I left it.
Yeah, is Riley up to date?
He will be. He's licensed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. That's it.
All right, Darla. Hey, so overall, your assessment of the enumeration process? I see the little article on Skeptic is that, or an article, or the editorial saying that registrations are up and everything, so.
Within town, they have been up. The numbers I'm not quite sure about yet. I
I speculated, maybe prematurely 2 months ago when I came in, but they're definitely up. I mean, I have a stack of responses and many, many new registrations, which is great. And it's helpful not only for the animals, it's helpful for the community, children and people who are, living and being here. So I'm not finished yet, obviously, but I still have a lot more to do. But it's, it's going on through the end of the year, and I'm making some phone calls and just doing some follow-up, but it's going okay.
Good.
Yeah, the first month especially, because there were so many responses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Excellent work, Darla.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Darla. And we want to welcome our new town planner, Heather Herwiller. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Welcome. Heather is, again, our new our town planner for the town of Princetown. Heather's got a quite extensive resume, which I have here somewhere, but, so welcome. Oh, did you want to give a report?
No. After just starting last Tuesday, I think I'm not quite there yet. So.
All right.
But I'm looking forward to getting up to speed and getting everything taken care of.
All right, I know we're running late. If you can give us the residents, a 2-minute review of who you are, et cetera. 2 minutes though.
2 minutes. All right. Basically, I have 10 years of professional planning experience. I'm a certified planner with the American Institute of Certified Planners. I am a student up at UAlbany. I'm finishing up my master's degree in urban planning, and then I will also be attending to also get a second master's degree in geography. I have a geographic information system background and a variety of general planning experience, including comprehensive planning and community development, as well as rural planning. So fairly well-rounded in planning. I look forward to working with anybody and everybody.
We can feel the brain power. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Tues. Thank you. I don't know, Ron, if you can answer, but Cal did send out a note about the certificate of designation, so I was going to ask her if there's anything on that. Thanks. I think that's it for the business. Open it up to town council. Mr. Bob?
Felt like being sick the last 2.5, 3 weeks. I have little or nothing,
You are sounding better compared to where you were last week, so I guess it's a good sign.
Getting.
All right, Mr. Lou.
Yes, I noticed you have on here the trooper barracks. I think that this year we're going to try to hold off on replacing the trooper barracks. I think we might be able to get by another year on it. The upper portion might need some patching, but I think that spending the money this year, I don't think is the right way to go. If we do have a problem with it, we can address it at a later date. But to updating the processing room, I know you've got the quotes from Davies, and I've been contacting 3 different other companies. I know we only need 3 estimates. But in the process of getting some estimates, I would like them by the end of the month. So hopefully we'll have that by the next agenda meeting and present them and see what you want to do with them. We still haven't addressed the security in this building. I would still like to work on that, probably present it in the budget. I don't know if Joe wants to work with me on that again, see if we can do something about handling the security in the building. The solar project is up and running. I'm pretty proud of that we got this done finally, and hopefully it's going to be a big payoff for the town. We haven't put the monitor in yet. Joe and I discussed that. We're going to be working on that. Joe and I think Norm offered to, I know Joe already bought the monitor, but we're going to contribute to pay for it. It's going to be hooked up so that the residents can see the real-time savings as they come into the building. And actually, that's all I have this month, Mike. Kind of a slow month. I think he did a good job with putting the pillars around there to protect the gazebo.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that did help, even though the trucks are still coming in. One was in there not too long ago, and making a turn, I happened to see him, but he didn't do any damage, he just went up on the lawn. But I think that might eliminate the problem. And I know we talked about doing that in the next budget, was doing a landscaping around there, around the gazebo.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about that in the next budget, and I think that will about do it.
All right, thank you, Lou. Anything for Captain Lou?
No, good job.
Good job, Lou. Just to touch on that solar monitor, just thinking, I don't know if you can touch base with maybe Vic or Tim. I wonder if there's a way, once we post it up, you gotta go to that website to pull down the data?
We have to become a subscriber to this. And Mark Richardson sent me the information. I talked with him about it, and once you get into their system, then it's just a matter of putting the monitor out there and hooking it up to an internet. So, but I haven't had the chance to look through that.
All right. My suggestion, and just, again, if you can maybe work with Vic or Tim, would be interesting if whatever's feeding the monitor, if we could backfeed it to the website, to the town website, and put a little window there saying, saving 10 kilowatts an hour, or whatever it is, It would be a way to show the dial going backwards. That'd be pretty cool. All right.
They already did
That's
wire
a good
it up.
idea.
The wire is already in there now, so that it's,
It's gonna be just a matter of how to backfeed through the internet with the link.
But the first step is to get, with that Draker,
Yeah.
his name of the company, so.
Okay. All right, Mr. Joe.
Okay, the one solid bit to report is the E-code. We are working with General Code in Rochester. On July 17th, Mike Cuevas and Pat Bishop and I reviewed all of our local laws that we received from the town clerk. A significant number of them we had no copies for. So Claudia Zook is the senior editor for our project in Rochester. Said, well, I go to New York State because they'll have them on file. I talked with her this past week and she said they're still waiting from the state. She said it's not inordinately slow for them, but she said they're still waiting. But as soon as she gets these laws in, she's going to notify me and we will then talk about schedules and milestones and future responsibilities. So it's really an exciting project. The company is very professional and it's a pleasure to work with them. So far so good. I mean, I have really nothing to report except that these laws are coming. And when we get them, we move forward.
Thank you, Joe. And just to expand a little bit on the why of the E-code. So obviously, I think it's key to bring up our documentation, our laws, our ordinances, up to 2013, 2014 standards. But each time the town board goes through and updates a law, whether it's whatever law or ordinance it is, it's a pretty labor-intensive effort. There's input from the board, there's lots of meetings that go on, there's back and forth, and again, there's nothing wrong with back and forth, that's democracy in action. But what the E-code is gonna do, the E-code is looking at all our laws that have been filed with the state. Anything going back to, since pretty much 1969. This E-code outfit takes a look at every one of the laws we have in town and that doesn't really bring them up to code, but makes suggestions for each one, you know, so the town board will be able to look at all of them in mass and then, you know, set appropriate town meetings and process to update the laws. And why that's, you know, beneficial to the town is we're gonna be able to do it, again, the 100 to 200 laws that we have out there, ordinances, we can bring them up all at once. So when you do some of the math and do the breakdown, it really comes down to about $100, $150 a law, compared to the effort that it takes, you know, the town board, plus the planning board, plus the zoning board, plus input from committees, you know, meetings, et cetera. It just takes months to do one, never mind the manpower to do it. So that's the advantage to not only getting our codes, you know, up on the web in electronic format, but it's very, when you look at it on a cost basis per ordinance or per law, again, it brings everything up, and when you do the division, it's very, very economical, and it brings everybody up.
And it's a gift that keeps on giving, because once you have them, the code enforcement can refer to, planning board can go, zoning board can just look at these things, call them up, there's no time wasted, and you're always looking at the latest revision. So revision control is like ours that we looked through on July 17th. Oh my goodness. You didn't know if you were looking at the latest revision or whatever, but by having an E-code like that, done, you know you're looking at the latest one.
Yeah.
So there's huge paybacks to the town.
Yeah. And again, just some, and I don't want to drag it out anymore, but again, just the ability to go to the website, put in, you know, built-in pools, and it'll do a search on all our town laws and possibly, you know, outside, you know, the state laws, what the requirements are, what codes, what ordinances you need to look at. So, again, I think it's that it'll pay itself back, you know, numerous times. So, all right, thanks, Joe. All right, so supervisor, I'll try to move a little bit quickly here. We're in the budget season. We're in the 2014 budget season. We distributed the results of last year, the budget worksheets to all the department heads. There's a schedule published. So over the next couple of months, there'll be the budget process, a tentative, preliminary, and then the final budgets. I'm thinking of, because I think it's critical that we communicate, again, to the community, like we did at the state of the town, and just being as open and transparent and, you know, trying to get everybody involved. But so my thought was to do a budget session, asking Ben to come in for one night and demonstrate to the residents how the town builds the budget. You know, what's the process, you know, how we came to the math, you know, what did we use, you know. So, I don't know, I was thinking about that before, you know, just like the state of the town, except this time we'll just go through the budget, you know. We'll go through a quick review of how we built the 2013 budget, what was the inputs, what was the outputs, and then the same for this year. Again, taking some of the inputs, and how the town board arrives at, you know, a budget to be voted on. Just a thought.
All right.
Yeah, just a thought. Again, I talked about the Norman skills, so that's off and running. We talked about highway. I do want to make a note to the civic committee, in particular Mary Sue and her team. A great family night. It was a good event. It was a beautiful night. Looking forward to it again this year. I want to extend my thanks to the Platterkill Fire Department. And I do want to extend my oops to the Pine Grove. Marvin, there was just a mix-up. I was going to call Wes, John Tobias was going to call Wes. Just asked for dirt trucks to come out, but, you know, I thought he was doing it, he thought I was doing it, so my mistake. You know, my apologies to Wes, but him and his team showed up last year, and we were very grateful, and I'm hoping Wes and his team will be able to attend next year, but my mistake. But anyway, so Potterkill, all the volunteers for family night, the county, the sheriff's department, it was a good night, good event, and hopefully we can expand it again next year a little bit. A reminder to the town board and to our attorney, the agenda meetings are now back on schedule, so we'll see everybody 2 weeks from tonight. We touched on this last meeting, but we had to purchase a new server, pretty expensive. The other one was at end of life, it was dying, actually half of it died during the last month, so as I'm sure any person in business understands, especially in this day and age, it's critical. Actually, you can't work without it. You need a computer, in this case it's our server, so we did have to expend monies unexpectedly, but that's why there's a contingency fund. But we did get our server put in yesterday. Today, I do want to send a note and reminder to the staff that, you know, some of their screens and their logins and everything may have changed, but Omnis is ready to stand by. Matter of fact, I called them just before we came in tonight, and so they've been very responsive to everything, so I'm glad that they, you know, they're a team that we went to. So again, if everybody's having troubles or their links, I know George is having some issues. I had issues, but again, they're right there. So we have a new server, so all the best. But we'd like to get a table, to get it off the floor, out of the white water. The Rotterdam speaker, again, I think Pat talked about that a little bit. Denise Teets, as everybody knows, we've got Denise, who is a person with a disability, working with us, doing our mail. I do have a meeting with them in the Department of State, or whatever department they work for, this Friday to do an assessment. So, you know, kudos to Denise. You know, so far the mail's been under my door, maybe everybody's mail, but just for getting the mail. An update for the solar, the McDonald engineering bill has finally been paid, thanks to New York Light Energy. Mary Ann Jones,
Yes.
your power. You're concerned about power, so you're correct.
No, I'm not, I don't care. I mean, the power lines don't bother me. It's just I don't want that big transfer station where I'm gonna hear it hum all the time.
So a couple thoughts, actually. So we did get a presentation last Monday night from, I'm not sure if this is the parent company or not, but it's Florida Power and Light. You know, one of the vendors that are running it. So this new power line is going to run from Marcy up to Princetown, make a right-hand turn, and head south down to Poughkeepsie, or just past Poughkeepsie. It's a new power line, new high efficiency, et cetera. They're going to run them right next to the existing lines. But you're right, there will be a power station, a substation at that right-hand turn, which is up off of Reynolds Road. And from there, a substation.
Let them hear it. It's far enough.
But, so I was speaking with them, I've reviewed with Mike, I'll review a little more with the board, but I am gonna ask them and, you know, residents of Dwaynesburg, maybe the Dwaynesburg Planning Board, and maybe some Rotterdam residents to come to an open public hearing to express concerns about the power, or questions about it. As part of the New York State Power Highway Initiative, I think is the name of it, but they're gonna put big power lines down next to the existing ones and then eventually rip the other ones out. But it is gonna mean the lines are gonna shift. So there's some,
And all that traffic like we had when the tornado went through and ripped the lines out.
Well, I'm not sure we'll have that much traffic, but
That was a lot,
that was a lot. That's actually pretty impressive. Good stuff.
yeah.
So I will be
It's
sending out a
stuff like that
note.
don't bother me, it's just that transfer station. I don't
Yeah,
understand
that's
that.
gonna be up off of, actually, I think over Reynolds Road, up there, where it makes the right-hand turn.
Yeah. Progress don't bother me.
All right, good. During the
But
camp,
that Camp Bisco,
right here, well, so I'm gonna look into
you
the rest
better go
of
to
it.
the town meeting and tell that people, get that out of town.
All right,
It's
the water
disturbing my
trucks,
peace.
the water trucks, you said the water trucks are always coming.
Well, they do. A1 and Mike and all that, they go down my road, which I shouldn't complain about it, really, because they beat the horn when they go by, right?
Is that all it takes? I can do that. I can drive.
Well, I got nails out for you. No, but it's all night long. The music is awful.
Yeah, I can hear it from my house.
Can you?
Yep.
Good. Does it keep you awake? Or you got central air?
No. I don't like it.
You keep your windows. Hey, my kids were visiting and they were upset. They couldn't believe that noise.
All right, I will call Waynesburg and express the town's concerns. Especially, I mean, if you're okay with the water, then I'll let it go.
You know what she did, real quick? She, on the internet, she routed them from I-88 by my house and up the other way so they wouldn't bother her residents.
Who?
The town, whatever you are, supervisor,
Oh,
the Dwaynesburg supervisor, the woman. And then,
well, she's not running this year, so maybe they'll start routing it back the other way.
yeah, round back the other way,
Hmm.
on the internet.
Okay. And that is about it for me. Questions, thoughts? All right. Let's close that piece and move on to the business of town.